So for my first card, I'm going to make a shaker box card. So what you're going to need for this is a cardstock base of your choosing, whatever color. You just want the cardstock to be a little bit bigger than the doily. I'm using a larger size doily, so my card base when folded is going to be 5 by 6.5 inches. And this is just a pre-made card. You can use cardstock as well. Then you're going to need a piece of cardstock. Probably a solid color would be best. I'm going to use these two different ends of a ribbon roll as my base for cutting out the frame for the shaker box. You want one to be a little bit bigger than the other. You're going to need a piece of plastic. I'm just using a sheet protector for this. I'm just going to cut it right out of this after I trace around the outside. And then you want a piece of coordinating cardstock. This strawberry one I thought was really cute. And then you're also going to need for the inside of your shaker some little bits, little glitter bits. So I chose to use this one from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to use this one, which is actually something I got from a thrift haul, and I believe that you can get something similar to this at Hobby Lobby. Some supplies obviously that you're gonna need is a marker or something to do your tracing. You're gonna need some foam adhesive. This gives it a little bit of height, so when you do your shaker, your little glitter will move around in the box. Some other things that you might need are some glue dots, possibly a lighter so that you can seal your ends there on your ribbon. Obviously a glue runner you're going to need. A paper cutter you're going to need as well. And then maybe a couple other things. A stamp with some ink, any kind of saying. You can either print something off your printer, you can use a Cricut die cutting machine, you can use a sticker for your saying, but I'm going to probably use a stamp on mine. So let me get started. The first thing I'm going to do is fold my cardstock in half. You can use a bone, but I can just use my fingers. And then I'm going to cut down my pattern cardstock, and I want it to be 1/4 of an inch smaller than my front of my cardstock. That's just how I prefer it. Some people like it to go all the way to the edge. I want a little bit of this edge showing. It gives it a border. So for a 5 by 6.5 inch card, you're going to cut it to 4.75 by 6 1/4. And then I am going to take my glue runner. You can use craft glue, whatever your preference is here. And this is from AdTech. I got this off Amazon. You can get them at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, any of those places. So you want to try to center it as best you can on your card. There you go. And that is going to be your base for your card. Now we are going to assemble our shaker box. Okay, so I am going to trace the large circle out of my cardstock. And then I'm going to trace the inner one. You want to make sure you try to get it as even proportionally as you can all the way around. And I'm going to trim mine on the inside here and on the outside there, so that way I make sure that my foam tape will actually fit. All right, so once I have it all trimmed out, I just want to make sure, I turned it over to look at the nice side, make sure it's all kind of nice and smooth. It's got a little edges, but that's okay. It is handmade. The person that you give it to will know that it's handmade. If it's perfect, they'll think it's been done in a manufacturing plant, right? So I am going to try to decide if I want to use adhesive or double-sided tape. Tried double-sided tape before and it was a disaster, but let's try it again. All right, so we're going to take some double-sided tape. And I like this kind because it actually has the backing on both sides instead of it being in a roll where half of the backing is already gone, so it sticks to everything. And I'm going to notch this as I go. Actually, I think I'm supposed to notch the outside, not the inside. Let's try not to get the card. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna trim off, trim off the ones that I missed here. And I'm gonna have to trim it off the plastic anyway. My plastic is a little bit bigger than this. All right, so I'm gonna remove the backing. Here we go. I can't even see this guy. Well, I don't want to put him on there because he'll stick, and that is a very, very thin doily. And if it sticks, it's going to rip the doily. Hey, not bad. All right, so I'm just going to trim a little bit of this excess plastic. Again, if you use a die cutting machine, this will come out, it'll be way faster for one, and it'll come out more precise. So you won't have to do any of these extra steps that I'm doing. All right, so now we want this to attach to this, but you want it to be raised up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some foam. Now, I have this double-sided foam. It's too wide. So what I'm doing is I actually just cut down the middle of it. You want to do it on the back side, Danielle, not on the front. And again, you want it to be hidden, so you want it to be not as wide as the circle. There we go. All right, and you got a full circle there, so none of the glitter is going to get out. I'm gonna trim this one down. It's not pretty on the back side, but don't worry, once you turn it over and put it on the card, you're not gonna see any of that. See? So what I'm going to do is I want to peel off all but just a little bit. Oh, careful. I don't want to peel all of it because I want to have a spot where I can put some of the glitter. So I'm going to peel off. The other option is to just pour the glitter in the center, but I don't trust myself. All right, so I'm going to leave this little piece right here. So you want to find the center. And you got to get it right the first time because, like I said, these doilies will tear. So now I have a little opening right here so I can actually put my glitter inside. So I am going to use, let me see my cardstock. Which ones do I don't think I'm going to use that one. I think I like this one. So I'm going to open that up a little bit like that. Put some in there. Kind of light, but because they're shiny, you can see them pretty good. And then I want to use these from the Dollar Tree. I already used them, so I had to tape them down. Tape it down. All right, so let's get some in there. Ooh, too many? I don't know, what do you think? I could do these two. That one kind of has a little bit of a green. Maybe we'll do that. Hopefully I won't regret it. Is there any green in here? Ooh, there's green stars. I don't like that color green. I think the seafoam colored green is a little bit better. So let's use this one. Put a little bit of that in there. Now, you notice that they're falling out. The reason why they're falling out is because they're falling out through the doily. So once you adhere the doily down to the card, you won't really have quite as many of these issues. So I'm going to take this sticky off. There, one's trying to escape. No escaping allowed. All right. So now I'm going to tape this down. You could also put another piece of pink behind there. But let me see. I think if I flip this over and I put some, we'll use double-sided tape. And I'm going to put this double-sided tape on the inside of those holes. So I'm going to put it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put it here so that it adheres down. And these little thingies won't. That's my thought process anyway, but we'll see. I might actually have to put it over the holes. And if that's the case, we'll just put it over the holes as well. In fact, I think the over the holes might be better. There we go. Let me see. Yeah, it's still getting out. So let's do it over the holes. So these have to stay in there. They won't shake, but at least they won't fall out. Let me take this off first. There we go. Let's cover up these holes. And you know what I could do? Just leave the backing on this. You know, I don't know. I haven't decided. We're learning this together, okay? All right, let's take this piece off. All right, here goes nothing. All right, we're gonna glue her right there. Let's see, did it work? Oh my gosh, we got a shaker. So now all we need to do is add some of the embellishments and we are all done.